YB stays on your neck.
Yo, my dons, make sure you hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and obviously hit the bell for notifications. So it's quite interesting. Your boy the YB did a video a few days ago talking about the WBA and possibly the IBF having removed Dillian Whyte's ranking. And in that video I speculated that it was highly likely that the Wilder Boxing Corporation, aka the WBC, would shortly follow suit, given how potentially aggressive they've been against Dillian. Bearing in mind the WBC, as we know, are aligned with the WBC Clean Boxing Program, which is VADA. And on that note, the fact that Dillian Whyte is completely cleared before and after the fight, in fact, for the whole of history, Dillian Whyte is cleared by VADA 100%. So the fact that's the case, and the WBC still decided to suspend him, or suspend his claim to the mandatory, that there was very aggressive behaviour. Bearing in mind, organisations should make decisions based on new information. Yeah? What new information could they possibly have? UCAD, jurisdictionally speaking, has nothing to do with the WBC or the USA. Absolutely fact. Eric Molina's proved that. Eric Molina is banned in the UK, but guess what? He's fighting in the US and all over the place, no problem. So, with all this sort of stuff in mind, it was odd for the WBC to suspend Dillian. However, I can quite happily report now that Dillian Whyte is ranked number 1 in the WBC's August rankings 2019, and that they've made quite a statement in reality, because guess what? They've actually dropped Oscar Rivas from the rankings. He was previously in the top 15. Now he no longer is. So the fact they've decided to drop Rivas and maintain Dillian at number 1, I think that's quite telling. As I mentioned, bearing in mind they were happy to suspend Dillian's mandatory, so if there was any cause to remove his ranking, I'm pretty sure they would have followed suit. And from a Dillian Whyte point of view, in terms of guilt and innocence, this actually bodes quite well for Dillian. I'll tell you why. I made quite a point of mentioning this, but essentially when the WBC suspended Dillian Whyte's mandatory claim, they said in that statement that they requested, at this point, which was about 2 weeks ago, I think it was, yeah, about 2 weeks ago, the WBC suspended Dillian Whyte's claim to the mandatory, and at which point they said in their statement they would be requesting all information from UCAD and the BBBOC. So with that in mind, I'm not sure. People have speculated that, oh well, Dillian Whyte's privacy business means that the WBC wouldn't get any information. I find that hard to believe. I find it hard to believe, whilst UCAD and BBBOC, privately speaking, or whilst UCAD and BBBOC won't publicly or share his results with the public, I'd like to think there must be, if a governing body who's sanctioning the fights requests information, I'd like to think that that information is shared internally on a eyes-only basis. Now, assuming that moral and ethics is real, i.e. assuming the WBC has been shared or has been shown information from the from the BBBOC and UCAD, and now 2 weeks later they've decided to maintain Dillian at number 1, it bodes well for him, because on the basis of a bit of logic, as I've just explained, it should follow now that the fact that the WBC have received the information, I assume, from UCAD and from the BBBOC, and they've still decided to maintain his number 1 position and not remove it. They could have received some information and thought, you know what, he's getting removed from the number 1 ranking, which would have been very telling the other way. I'd be sitting here now, if Dillian Whyte had lost his number 1 position, I'd be sitting here now and saying, this don't look good for Dillian, because they've obviously got some more information and voted to take him off. And the other thing you got to keep in mind as well, remember, when WBC put that statement out about, when the WBC put the statement out and decided to remove Dillian Whyte's, decided to take away Dillian Whyte's mandatory mandatory challenge, I speculated in that video that essentially it's possible the WBC might know something we don't. They may have already received some information from UKAD and BBBOC, which has led them to the decision that they'd suspend Dillian Whyte. But the fact that they've kind of kept him at number 1, that almost supersedes the mandatory situation. But that said, as it stands, the WBC hasn't changed their position on his mandatory claim, which is actually what we want, because what do we know? Funnily enough, scarily enough, Dillian Whyte's the number 1 ranking isn't what we're here for. Dillian Whyte's had the number 1 ranking for damn long enough now. We're not interested in number 1 ranking. I'll tell you what, WBC, scrap the number 1 ranking. We want the mandatory. And it just goes to show the WBC are very calculating in what they will and what they won't do. All their actions are to protect Deontay Wilder at all costs. And you can see it in what's played out here. They allowed Dillian to maintain his number 1 rank, but suspend the mandatory challenge. Why didn't you do the other way around? Why don't you suspend his number 1 rank and keep the mandatory going? I'll tell you why. Because by suspending the mandatory, that means Deontay Wilder can sleep easy for the next few nights. But when Dillian Whyte's vindicated, yeah, Wilder, you best go back to your physician and ask for some more sleepers. You're going to need a whole load of sleepers, and you're going to need a whole load of downers by the time it gets released, because you forget, all this time, Deontay Wilder he's a primitive individual. He doesn't understand emotions and whatnot. So when the news first broke, he was so excited. He's almost like he's an up and down don. He's all over the place. He's emotional. We already know this. AJ exposed it. Oh man, I'm gonna throw away $100 million. I'm gonna throw cockadoodle. I'm gonna throw $100 million away because you call my manager Shelley Winkle. This is the emotional guy you're talking about. He throws away $100 million because of a few names have been thrown. So with that in mind, when this guy got gassed about Dillian Whyte being ruled out, when you get that excited, guess what? When Dillian Whyte gets put back in, which is I'm hearing from sources is inevitable, yeah, which I'm seeing from this information is inevitable. Wilder, you best be on suicide watch. You are going to be it's going to be the same way you was up. He'll be back on Instagram, like I exposed. Wilder will be back on Instagram, blowing kisses at Dillian Whyte, making sure he looks real sweet, putting his little pretty nose piercing in, and putting his little pretty earrings in, and do you know what I mean? Putting his eye blusher on, and putting his eye founder, all this business. He'll be getting all that stuff done. Putting his best filter on, putting the little bunny ears on. He'll be doing a lot of it when it turns out he'll be back in his place. The only reason Wilder's out here on social media acting a hard man again is because he believes he believes him and Gaiman have got away with ringing their friends at UKAD and sprinkling some D-BOL in there in the substance. Simple as that. Because what we know is Deontay Wilder and Al Gaiman, they don't have people in VADA, but they have people in UKAD certified. Al Gaiman has people in UKAD. He does not have people in VADA. Is that pure chance? Are you telling me? Are you telling me it's pure chance that it happens to be the organisation that has Al Heyman associated people in? All of a sudden he pops. Is it pure chance as well? That's the other thing. Makes me laugh. VADA is the most unscrupulous testing company. They are the dons. They are the ones who set the precedent. Let's not forget, they're the ones who exposed Billy Methamphetamine Saunders. And the UKAD being as nicey as they are and as lenient as they are, they actually allowed Billy Ho to be juiced out of his mind. VADA didn't allow it. They said no. So with that in mind, how is it that VADA, the most unscrupulous, don't find squat in Dillian, but UKAD do? Now, I understand both sides of the argument. People will say, well, the testing, they weren't tested on the same day, which is fair enough, and I don't really know enough about that. But from what I understand about these substances, they leave metabolites, they leave trace substances for years. Look at the what's his name? Look at the John Jones situation. John Jones allegedly is clean, and what's happening is his body's having a pulsating effect. So as he metabolizes his fat cells and his fat stores, Allegedly, it releases some of the juice that wasn't even there. Allegedly, I don't know, man. It's all alleged and it's all BS, man. Bottom line is, what I'm trying to say is, if whenever John Jones has a test, John Jones took something and he's testing positive now because of something he took 18 months ago. If Dillian Whyte took something, why is it only in one test? I'll tell you how someone only tests positive in one test. That there for me is smoking gun proof that someone sprinkled some magic D-BOL in there. That's the only way, in my opinion, scientifically speaking, you only test positive in one test. Because if you took something, if you ingest something, the body metabolizes substances over time. That's why substances have a half-life. They get broken down over time. As more time goes on, less of the substance is in your body. It doesn't go, there's 1 unit of substance in your body and then there's none. No, it halves it. Over time, it halves and halves and halves and halves until there's none in there. Or until there's undetectable amounts in there. And my point is, John Jones, he took his 18 months ago and is still popping. So if Dillian Whyte took something, he'd be still popping. He wouldn't have it in one test. The only way to pop dirty in one test is for someone to sprinkle some magic juice in there. And you've already heard it from Dillian. He told you on that exclusive clip I played you lot from from that exclusive source I showed you lot. Dillian Whyte told you I've been set up, certified. No one wanted to listen to the YB. But like I say, the only thing that irritates me about Dillian at the moment is the fact that he's not coming out and telling everyone what he should. I know there's some dons out there who will say, oh, YB, he can't do it. Yes, he can do it. He can come out and put a line out there for his fans and say, listen, dons, yeah? I just want my fans to know, F these lawyers for a second, I want my fans to know I am 100% clean. He hasn't done that yet. I just want my fans to know I have 100% been set up. He hasn't done that yet. One line ain't gonna ruin your case if you're in the clear. That's my only frustration with Dillian at the moment. I wish he'd do that for his fans, not me, but his proper fans who are riding with him. Give them something to work with. But anyway, as it stands, in conclusion, it looks good for Dillian, or it definitely doesn't look bad for him. It definitely doesn't look bad for him from this point, in my opinion. Let's see how it plays out. Been very quiet. In fact, I think it's been over a week now, or maybe even 2 weeks, since we've had any official news. I hope that changes in the near future. I hope this isn't a Tyson Fury jobby, where we don't hear squat about it for damn years. But let me know your thoughts below. Fundamentally, Dillian Whyte is still 100% liable. Deontay Wilder, you best be getting your best night's sleep now, buddy, because in a few days when he's cleared, you ain't gonna be sleeping a lick. You're gonna be shook about that left hook. You'll be in all the interviews talking about, oh man, the hit ain't supposed to be hit, man. Oh man, we risk our lives in the ring, man. Oh, cock-a-doodle-doo, man. Oh man, yeah. Oh, I don't wanna fight Dillian Whyte's left hook, man.